Hello and greetings of the day, respected madam. I am Jatan Trivedi and today I will present to you one of the topics of the effective technical communication subject, that is etiquettes and common telephone etiquettes. So without any further delay, let us check out the outlines. The outlines include definition of etiquettes, telephone etiquettes, etiquettes for the caller, in which there are two cases. First case is when other person picks up the call. Second case is when the person you want to talk to picks up the call. Next, etiquettes for the receiver, do's and don'ts of telephonic conversations, dealing with difficult callers. So let us jump into the definition of etiquettes. Etiquettes is a code of behavior that describes the expectations of social behavior of an individual according to the norms of the society, group or organization. Etiquettes also share its meaning with the words such as protocol, good manners, etc. The word etiquette is derived from the French word estique, which means to attach or stick. So I would say that etiquette is a manner that you show up upon yourself to the society, that helps the society to determine your character and to determine your personality. Telephone etiquettes. So what are telephone etiquettes? As etiquettes means manners, telephone etiquettes means manners that are important while a person talks to on phone to any known or unknown person. Yet being a very popular mean of communication, it has a major disadvantage of physical absence. I believe that when you talk to someone, when you are physically present upon him or her, in front of him or her, you have a different impact of your thoughts and your speech upon the person. But while you are talking on the phone, your words and your speech and your attitude of speaking describes everything. So telephone etiquettes is a manner of speaking on the phone properly so that you create a good impression of you and your organization you represent. Etiquettes for the caller. So there are some etiquettes or some manners or some rules for the caller, and also there are some manners or rules we can say for the receiver also. But first let us check out the etiquettes for callers. When other person picks up the call, so as I mentioned earlier in the outlines, there are two cases for etiquettes for the callers, that is when other person picks up the call and when the person you want to talk to picks up the call. So yes, let us check out when other person picks up the call. Always start the call with greetings like good morning, good evening, etc. according to the time of the call. Give a very small introduction of yourself that include your name and your company's name so that the receiver can get an idea of whom he or she is talking. If you have called the office number, then you have to ask the person for you want to talk to very politely. So when person picks up the call, he or she might don't know you, that who are you speaking or for what purpose you have called the person. So you have to give a very small introduction of yourself, and you have to introduce yourself by your organization's name and or your name also, and you have to talk to the person very politely. If you are asked for the reason of the call, give proper reason. If the receiver asks you to hold on a call, then wait very patiently. If the person you want to talk to is not available at that moment, then give a clear message to the receiver of the call so that the concerned person can call you accordingly. It is not possible that every time you call and the person who picks up is the right person you want to talk to. So if the receiver is not the person who you want to talk or whom you have the work with, then leave a clear message for the person who you wanted to talk so that he can or she can call you and your work can be finished accordingly. Do not get irritated if you have to wait on the call on the call, hold on for long if the person is not available at that moment. Also, it is not possible that every person is available every time you call. So make sure that you don't get irritated, or you can say you don't hang up the call if you are on the hold for too long, because the person may take some time, or when the person is indulged in some other work, he or she may take time to attend your call or to come to receive your call faster. Always remember to end the call by thank you and or have a nice day with a friendly and polite tone. So I would say that even if the person who you don't want to talk has picked up the call, then also you have to end up the call by thanking and wishing him or her a nice day, and then ending up the call. Now let us pop into the second case, that is when the person you want to talk to picks up the call. So in this case, when the caller calls and he is received the call by the person he wants to talk. So as I have mentioned in the previous case, always start your talk with good morning, good evening, etc. according the time of the call. If you are calling in the morning, say good morning, and if you are calling in the evening, say good evening or good afternoon, as per the time. After the introduction, tell the purpose of the call and ask the receiver if he or she is comfortable for answering the call, and tell him or her how much time would you take. This point means that it is not always necessary that the person you call knows you. So if you are on a formal call, or you are calling from your company's or organization's side, always give your introduction from by organization's name, and ask the receiver if he or she is free at the moment to talk to you. You should have all the information of the topics that are supposed to be discussed on the call, and do not keep the receiver awaited by gathering your information around. That means if you want to talk to someone on a particular topic, you should know that how much time you have to talk and what all topics or what all points you have to cover in this talk, because every person is not free at every time. So you should know what to talk and how much to talk. So that would make you a decent caller, and that would create a good impression of yours in the mind of the receiver. Maintain a sweet and polite tone during the entire call, and make sure that there is no background noise when you are on a call. So this also can create an impression on the mind of the receiver. If you do not have a polite tone or a sweet tone, then the receiver may not like to talk to you again, or may not talk to you for a long time. Okay, and if your background noise is not clear, then the receiver could not get all the points you want to deliver to him. So that way the conversation you and your receiver have made may not become out to be fruitful. As in the previous case, always end your conversation or your telephone talk with a thank you and have a nice day. So as a caller also have some etiquettes, receiver will also have some etiquettes while receiving a call. These etiquettes are: try to take the calls as soon as possible and do not make the caller wait for too long. Greet with your full name and your organization's name. Pick up the call and answer it according to the standard of your organization, and know how to answer it. Example, you can say the organization's name instead of your name. So this point says that if you are not you are not free to tell your name from the organization's as per the organization's rules, then you may mention only the organization's name. For example, if you are calling from an industry, then you can take only the industry's name. Example, that hello, I am speaking from Tata Industry. Ask the name of the caller and offer help. So if the caller has called you for some purpose, offer him or her help, that you are ready to help him or her. If the caller wants to talk to someone else, then transfer the call without making the caller wait for too long. Always keep a notepad and a pen handy so that you can note down the correct information. Take down the message fully and correctly. Pass on the message without fail to the concerned person. So there are some do's and don'ts of telephonic conversations. They are: be polite and careful in using the words you speak, because what you will speak will create an impression on the receiver. Your tone says everything and also could make the receiver judge your character. Always offer help. Greet and receive your organization's name. Ask necessary questions to get clarity. Also confirm that the receiver has understood or not. So, if you would not ask questions, then the information may not be clear enough to get the task completed. And also, you have to make sure, the caller has to make sure that the receiver has understood the problem or the talk that have been happened between the receiver and the caller. Paraphrase the end. Always paraphrase the end so that you and the receiver have a good remembrance of the call. Listen attentively to the caller and give your verbal acknowledgement as mentioned earlier. Let other person speak before you start speaking. Always keep a notepad and pen handy so that you can note down whatever you want to do. So basically this is the do's and don'ts, or this is a do's for the receiver as mentioned in the previous slide. Hold the mouthpiece properly. Do not hold it too close or too far. You have to be careful in many aspects while talking to someone on the phone. If in this case, if you hold the mouthpiece too close, you may be too loud, or your voice will not be clear enough. Or if you hold the mouthpiece very far, then you will not be audible for the receiver. Okay, so do not shout on the telephone. Do not shout on the telephone, as this creates a negative impact on the receiver for you. While talking on the phone, do not get distracted by surroundings, because you could lose concentration. If you look out on the surroundings while talking on the phone, you would lose your concentration from the topic that you and your receiver, or if you are the receiver, then you or your caller are discussing upon. So if you will lose concentration, the whole motive of the talk will get disrupted. So do not do parallel conversations. Wait for the caller or wait for the receiver. If receiver is speaking, wait for him to complete his talk. Or if the caller is speaking, you are the receiver and the caller is speaking, then wait for him to complete his talk and then start talking. While talking on the call, do not chew, eat or drink anything. And most importantly, do not use slang. So the previous mentioned sentences were of the do's and don'ts of telephonic conversations, but now let us hop in the last topic of our today's presentation, that is dealing with difficult callers. Not all callers are good. There are some difficult callers. They may be rude or they may be undisciplined in their talk, but there may be some reason for their rudeness and their misbehavior. So let us jump and see how to deal with them. The caller is angry because something wrong has happened to that person. The caller may be shouting on you, but he is actually shouting on the organization or abusing the organization, as they do not know whose mistake it is. Because for them, you are the responsible person, as you are picking up the call and you are representing the organization. You are the responsible person of his or her problem. So they may be abusing or they may be shouting or misbehaving on you. You are the part of the organization and hence you represent the organization, as I said. So you have to apologize first. It would be grateful if you apologize first so that you can calm down the caller who is behaving rudely to you. Talk very calmly and be a good listener. So if someone is complaining at you on the call, then you have to be a good listener and you have to talk very calmly and politely so that he or she gets cool down very fast. If someone else is responsible to answer first ask the caller to wait and then immediately transfer the call to the respected person. And it is also possible that you cannot handle every problem of every caller, so that so you can transfer the call to the responsible person, but first you have to ask the caller for the permission to do so. So try to address the person with his or her name to make them feel comfortable. So if you address the person with his or her name and with adding Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or Sir or Madam, then they may feel comfortable and they may feel respected, so they may change the tone of their talk. If you have to pass a message to the responsible person, then make sure you leave a message with exact details and problems included in the message. Show your readiness to the caller to help him or her. Give proper response to the caller so that he or she do not have to call again and again, as that would irritate them more and more. So basically, if you cannot handle the problem and if you cannot transfer the call at that particular moment, make sure you have a message for the responsible person, for the rightful person who can solve the problem of the caller, and that would solve the problem very faster, and you will accomplish your work. Give proper response to the caller means if you give the proper response to a difficult caller, that means the caller, as we have seen, that the caller may have some problem, so he's talking to you very rudely. So if you give a proper response, then he or she may be very happy by your response and would not talk to you rudely or misbehave with you next time when you pick up the call. So here comes the end of our presentation, and I hope you like this video and like my way of presenting, and I hope that I may be somehow correct in presenting my thoughts, and I think you have got my points whatever I have said. Thank you very much once again for listening me, and